friends, let's take a look at Ethereum. We'll take a look at Ethereum versus US dollar and Ethereum versus the Bitcoin dollar in this video. I think I'll do both of them just for the crack schnackles. Of course, had zero feedback about Ethereum versus Bitcoin, so I know that, well, actually I've not had zero. I've had one person say, I was going to ask you to do this and you just did it. That's amazing. How brilliant is that? Because they said it like 15 minutes before or after I'd published the last one about it. So, one person really appreciated it, and that's good. And that's always enough to kind of do it, but it's not enough certainly for a breakaway show specifically dedicated to that. Doesn't seem to be the case so far. We've had this ascending triangle on the go, similar to how we talked about on Bitcoin. If you want me to see the Bitcoin sort of version, you've got something like that, for instance, for example. There's lots of chat we've had about them. We've had it here, and we are breaking it towards the downside. Clear area to be aware of then as well on this chart has got to be that 370 area. Of course, we've come down below 370. In fact, even today as well, it's 365 lows up to 386 highs. So we've had this, be challenged today, actually closing down here on a sort of decent enough time frame candle, say 4-hour candles below hand, would be important to see happening. Of course, even an hourly candle would be better than the likes of things like the 15 minutes, 5 minutes, but it seems like it's been quite a solid solid support. See how this is operated in terms of support, going all the way down to the 5 minute candle here, zooming on in, and it's just wham, bang, wham, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, in terms of these bodies and whatnot. Is that a major coincidence? No, it's not, because we've got a crystal ball here and we can see the future. No, we can't see the future either. This is called risk management. It's what we do on a daily basis here. My name's Rocky Outcrop, by the way, and I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It's right there, just below the channel. You can hit the bell too. You get to know whenever the episodes come out, and you will definitely... I was going to say you definitely benefit from it some way, but I have to remember that I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, and to not sort of contravene any rules or anything. Just want you to know that it's probably worth it in your best interest to subscribe, even if it is just for entertainment purposes only, I guess. What are we looking at here then in terms of these really crap time frames here? We got something on the go like this. Whenever you're looking at the things, it doesn't take long before you start trying to do this on it, do these sorts of things and identify little crappy things. Is that a crappy wedge that's on the go there? Did we have an inverted? Nah, whatever. We've done okay here. We came down here, but we actually didn't come down and put in lock in a whole crap ton of divergence. Really, there was between these last two lows in the MACD here, the Stochastics, not on the RSI, and not not on the DMI either. So you'll see no, yes, and yes on that one. But yeah, so we've got that, we've turned around here. This is 5 minutes. What am I doing? Anyway, going to waste time talking about it. Let's skip away from that for a second. Do the same thing here on the hourly time frame instead, right? A bit more oomph to it, right? So this low to this low, you can see is bullishly divergent. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 4 oscillators as we came down here. Subsequently, we've come up towards the top side here, and we're asking the question in terms of the tiny dinky winky time frames, are you putting in some sort of little rising wedge here? Will we be able to then actually struggle towards the top side and go past this 50 simple moving average? Looking at it on the 1 hour time frame where we had the death cross recently, retest the 200, the 200 is at 390, and move towards the top side thereafter, or not. If we go up towards these areas and do test these things, then it's quite clear that that's a very significant area. When we look over at the 24-hour time frame, for instance, just so I don't have to scroll so much, and you can see that the 390 price point comes into this 236 Fibonacci retracement here from the big all-time highs down to the subsequent lows thereafter on the Coinbase chart for Ethereum bobs over there, and as well, if we just look towards the left, you can see the very significance of these 3 lines here is quite sort of self-explanatory, and they come in at 368, 390, 400, and 433. Okay, so those are the 3 price points to be looking to in terms of where you're still with it. Still, nothing really has changed, really necessarily, until we kind of crack those. Okay, nothing has changed from where we're at now, given that coming up here was obviously changing of itself that we talked about quite a great deal. Movements down below that area, of course, at 370s, going down below this 236 over here, and that could bring us down towards other targets such as 286. Yeah, 286 over there. 285 even. where you could be looking at a golden pocket retrace just to even before continuing towards the top side overall. Of course, this enthusiasm didn't bear fruit for us. What did we see here overall was that the prices came in and put in this high here. Next high was bearishly divergent as we had on the go, and then it kind of came down the way. It wasn't like an ascending triangle that went along with bullish convergent factors down below, so it wasn't as super positive about it, but we also knew that it wasn't like super negative as we're in a bull trend, and this is a negative sort of bearish pattern. So we've got that on the go, and we've moved towards the top side. By the way, did you notice in yesterday's video that I put out part 1? I edited it badly, so I had to put out part 2 where it was just the second part of the video. If you missed that, then you probably missed out on all the good stuff. Just kidding. It's all good stuff. Which is why you should hit that subscribe button. By the way, you should also watch that Bitcoin video today, and you should watch yesterday's Bitcoin video. You should watch the fracking videos. Tell you what, you'll benefit probably. Speculatively, even if, like I say, just for entertainment value. I'm sure you would. So I'm sure you would. So anyway, this is the kind of the two chunk up above and down below. If you consider 400 to be the median sort of area for us right now, but actually, looking at that, that's the toppy side area. So you would definitely be looking at that as being a profit taking target, albeit we have moved, or albeit, as a lot of Americans say. By the way, how there's that word all right, which is ALRIGHT. There's this other word out there called albeit, which is spelled ALBEIT, and it's where you take the words all, be, and it and make them into one word, and it's pronounced albeit, right? But somebody who wrote that down at some point then went over to America or whatever and read out albeit, and people still say it and they don't put two and two together. It's like do you say all right? All right, guys. Maybe some people do. Anyway, I'm not slagging you off. You all know these things yourselves. It's just like how you say couldn't care less. Oh, could care less. I hate that thing so much. I'm so ambivalent about this concept so much that I could care less about it. That doesn't make any sense. You know that. If you're like 100% didn't care about something, then you couldn't care any less because you care about it the least. So the original phrase coming from over here is I couldn't care less. In America, it's I could. Anyway, I've spoken about this at length before in the show, and I love America and I love Americans. So who cares? Love it all. Just thought I'd point that one out. As I see other people talking about it, I think you shouldn't watch anybody on YouTube doing crypto technical analysis if they say albeit. Okay, that would be my sort of my acid test for whether or not the person is able to kind of see patterns and things like that. Because if you can't see the pattern in the word albeit, then and you struggle to see that, you're probably going to struggle with technical analysis. Was my kind of takeaway there. Anyway, the 21 EMA comes in there, 356 movements down below that area are going to carry us on down perhaps towards our other targets, like where that golden pocket zone is in there, that 280s zone. Of course, that's where the 50 simple moving average is currently, and if we could test this from time to time, as we are wont to do during trending moves, as we come up and we get close enough and around about the 50 simple moving average, of course, this isn't an everyday scenario thing, but it happens, it happens, and if that were to happen again, then that would be taking us into around about those sorts of targets just there at that price. And as you can see, that's even clearer over here on this particular Fibonacci's, where we've drawn it in from the lows over here on the Friday the 13th of March, going body to body. It's hidden behind the volume candles at the minute, so it's hard to see, but there you go, body to body, or wick to wick. That's what I was trying to say. Going up wick to wick on this one. Then the 236 comes in there at 337.94. Consider movements down below that area to be shocking, but what could take us to there would be if this is actually a descending triangle, and you know what looks more like that as the time goes by currently at the minute on this one. And if we don't see the prices move, therefore, up above that 395, close up above the 400s, and then actually challenge the 415 area again, then this is what we're looking at currently. Movements down below, let's use the wicks and be totally really generous about this one, although we could look towards 380s and whatever, 378. Let's call it instead 360s. Movements down below that could see us come down and visit this area using this purple line here to give us a measured move off the back of it, bringing us down towards that targets of the 330s area. Now, of course, that would give us a lot to think about. At the time, we'll cross those bridges when we come to it, but we don't need to really consider anything beyond that area if we're simply trading, because things like movements that are more than 10% at any given time have to be considered to be fairly greedy if you want to like keep on, pumping out the money from that side of things. It's can be a bit greedy, and you'd be a more consistent, trader if you kind of operate within slightly tighter margins than that. Probably, again, I'm not a financial advisor, not financial advice. I think I'm just going to leave it at this at the minute. We can see that we've not got highs coming in here, so this isn't actually technically divergent or anything. Is that a lower low, which is also not divergent? Slightly, whatever, it's fine. No, it's whatever. If you were to consider this a low, a downtrend. Right, cool. Anyway, yeah, kind of pretty much covered everything. I'm going to make sure I get this all out in the one episode today. Really do appreciate people tuning in, as ever, massively do. Hit that subscribe button. Honestly, I've got a target in mind, by the way, 1,500. Be great if we get to 1,500 by September. I think that's pushing it a bit, maybe a bit much, but we'll be at 1,300 soon. So can we get another 200 throughout the rest of the month? It's possible. If I remind everybody that that we're getting lots of good value content taken away from this, and people, then maybe we'll get there this month, and the more people, maybe it'll snowball out the way. So maybe then I can sort of snowball back down how much I have to sort of remind people to do that, because, I want to see the channel growing. And when people come along and are massively effusively giving me praise, saying, this is the best thing out there, yada, yada, yada. I made 30 grand in the last week, stuff like that people have been saying to me watching the channel, then I think that we should move beyond some of the other channels in terms of the rankings on YouTube. Just think we should. And that is good for the whole community. Because we all benefit. And by the way, if you go into the community, if you go in there and talk, you'll see that everybody that comes up, because there's this idea on the show that everybody that watches this will become a self-reliant, resilient, independent trader, that everybody in there actually comes in with good ideas. We foster each other's ability to kind of generate these for positive. Everything's really good. So if you want to join that, you can. Cool. Catch you later. Thanks very much. Oh shit! I was going to look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So yeah, you stayed. Hopefully you saw the length of the video and were able to stay past me saying Chiro. So look at this. Look at how amazingly this all worked out for the last few days. Not going to go into great detail here. As you can see, this fuzzy line here is very important at 0.3269, or we've seen this hit it multiple times over the last few days since we talked about it. How lovely came up to this median line here at 0.34 area. Since we've been down the way, we're at 3333, all the threes at the minute, which is what you want to see if you're looking to move towards the top side, and then you'd hopefully get a couple of targets like sort of 35 and indeed higher up ones if that were to be the case. But we've struggled somewhat with this movement up the way. As you can see, we've drawn wedges here or triangles, kind of sort of showing off the bearish divergence that we have on the go between these two highs that came in. Are we going to see us then come in here and put in at least what could be a higher low over towards the 2.8 area? Yeah, we could. How would that all operate? Well, I suppose what could happen is you could see a sharper pullback in terms of Ethereum versus US dollar prices than what you might see with the Bitcoin US dollar prices. Simple maths, if you take 60 off the dollars of the price of this, that's a reduction of around about 20%. If you were to take off a grand off the price of this, and that's a reduction of under 10%. A grand take you down to 10,500. There's 20. So then you can see this pushing down the way. Do that 2 days in a row. That sort of a movement. Go down to any of those targets like 280, for instance, or whatever on Ethereum, and then or whatever. Then that's how you could do all of that in a negative way. And there's also the positive sort of scenario that you could work out there in terms of moving up, but doing it disproportionately slower or indeed quicker. And if you're to move up prices quicker and break past the $400 zone, 420, and get high at pat 420, as you spoke about, at that level, which is clearly a profit taking level, by the way. Yet again, reiterate that again. Why not re-articulate it? So reiterate it. Then you'd say then that could be, you could be looking up towards that 37 sort of 40 region in terms of the BTC, ETH, BTC pair. And anyway, that's going to do for that one. Catch you later. I've been Rocky Outcrop. I'll still be Rocky Outcrop when I come back tomorrow. Like I said as well, I'm not doing a look around the markets video where I tie it all in together today, even though those were brilliant, and we did sort of numerous amazing things such as call this pullback here on this buy pricing and show all the reason for it, as well as we look across the markets and look genuinely making assessments of the whole market altogether. There just isn't the demand out there, frankly, for that type of video, not yet, even though I feel like they're one of the more educational videos that I can put out, because I take the time to really sort of piece everything together so you get to see holistically what's going on. Well, those have been beneficial to people. If you enjoyed them over the last few weeks, videos. I'm afraid not enough other people enjoyed them for it to be worthwhile doing them anymore. So see how it goes. Maybe reconsider it again next month. Also, somebody asked me about live streams recently. Internet speed's not good enough here for that at the minute. And I'm not in a rush to leave. The weather's nice, as you can see, coming through the window. It's nice and sunny. I'm going to go out and get some more sunshine after I finish filming here. So I'm not in a rush to go changing that scenario for me right now. Vitamin D, health, more important than a live stream. But maybe when I go back to the big city, I'll do that to LBRY, Edinburgh. Right, cool. Thanks very much. Catch you next time.